Greetings to you and welcome to this episode of Grace Podcast. I'm Timothy Muse. I'll be your host as we spend this time together today. It's a joy to be with you. I want to thank you for tuning in. I want to thank you for making this podcast a part of your day, a part of your walk, a part of your journey into healing and health and growth. It's a joy to be able to come alongside you, to walk with you, to be part of this. Thank you for allowing me to do that. And thank you for being on this journey. Thank you for being on the journey of growth and betterment. You know, we all have places in our lives that need some extra attention. That doesn't make us bad. That doesn't make us weak. It doesn't make us less than. Actually, it makes us more aware when we're capable of looking into ourselves and saying, yeah, there's places that need a little extra attention, that need a little extra energy. And you're here on this walk because you see those places, because you want to be more than you are. You want to be stronger and more present and more capable. So good for you. Good for you for being here. Good for you for wanting that in your life. And thank you for allowing me to come alongside you and be part of it. It truly is a joy that you are investing some of your time in this podcast and you're allowing me to walk with you in it. If this podcast is helpful, please share it out there. Put it out there on your social media feeds. Put it out there on your Instagram, X, LinkedIn, Facebook. I post on all of those. The life coaching program posts on those feeds. So if you see it, please share it out there. Put it out there for others. You know, we want to see others grow. This is not a limited commodity. One doesn't fall because the other grows. We can grow together. We can expand together. We can lift each other up together. If you're listening on one of the listening platforms, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or Amazon Music, then follow us. Give us a rating and review. Every positive rating and review tells the platform that people are listening, and you get a notification when there's a new episode. And if you want to reach out to me directly, GraceLifeCoaching.com. That's the website. I'd love to hear from you. GraceLifeCoaching.com. Be a great way to contact me if you want to do some coaching, or you have some questions, or you want to do some Reiki or some meditation or sound bath. GraceLifeCoaching.com is the website. I truly would love to hear from you and see how I can come alongside you and help you in this process. So I had a really awesome New Year's Eve experience this year. I took my family down to Disney in Orlando, and we spent a couple of days there in the Magic Kingdom and some of the other parks. And one of the things that we did is we went to Magic Kingdom for New Year's Eve. And the place was packed. Tons of people. Great, DJ, dance party, great show, fireworks, laser presentation. The countdown projected up on the castle. It was really a truly incredible experience. I'm glad that I was able to do it. But as I was there, as I was looking around, as I was watching and experiencing this and taking it all in, all these people, there were thousands of phones being held up. It felt like an old rock concert, when people would hold their lighters up during the ballads, but there were thousands of phones up in the air, and they were all either recording, which I think, that's okay, but a lot of them were live streaming this, so they were live on their Instagram or their TikTok or their Facebook, live streaming this event so that others could be part of it, which is a beautiful thing. It really, truly is incredible to see people wanting to engage others and get others involved in their experiences. But one of the things that I reflected on, one of the things I realized as I was watching this happening, was that here are these thousands of people in this incredible moment, in this incredible experience, but they're not really there. They're not really enjoying or taking in the moment. What they're doing is they're trying to bring this moment to others rather than being in the moment, wanting to share it with others rather than drawing it in themselves, watching their phones, making sure that the camera angle is perfect and that it's still recording. So there's so many people, their phones up in the air, and they're looking at their phones and not looking at this experience. So they're watching this incredible experience, this incredible massive, all sensory experience through their little phone. And that really struck me. It really struck me as I was thinking about it. And as I was thinking about how we as people have become so disconnected from where we are in the moment. We've become so disconnected from being in the moment, that we want to share the moment with others, that we want to reach out to others, that we want to codify and identify the moment, but we're not in the moment itself. Most people are not actually living where their feet are. Most people are not actually living with where their feet are. And, in that moment, that experience made me think about deeper things, obviously, and how people aren't living where their feet are, aren't living in the present moment. People are living in expectations. People are living in others' opinions. People are living in future versions of themselves that they think they need to become before they're allowed to feel good, confident, or at peace, or even in the present moment. And somewhere along the way, the present moment becomes something to survive, something to move through, rather than inhabit. And I saw that on New Year's Eve. I saw so many people missing the present moment, missing that moment to share it with others. So I want to talk about that. It really did strike me. It really did ring a chord with me. Obviously, I'm bringing it forward in a podcast episode, but it really did ring a chord with me as we move into 2026 of how this can happen. I want to talk about what it means to stay in the moment, to live for yourself instead of living to manage other people's expectations or what's going on, or sharing your moments with everybody else, which is a beautiful thing. It really, truly is. We took a lot of pictures and I put a lot of posts up, but there's a difference between taking pictures and putting a post up but being in that moment, being able to enjoy the power of that moment rather than missing the moment to share it with others. So I really want to talk today about, staying in the moment and, living for ourselves instead of managing what everyone else expects of us, and finding hope and worth in the right now, not in the later. We can get this narrative that everything will be fine when ... happens, when ABC comes into line. But we want to talk about the fact that we're here right now, and that we want to learn to be present in the very moment that we're in. Because here's the truth. Your life's not on hold. You're not in a waiting room of your own existence. This moment matters. Every moment matters. Where you are in the present moment matters. And when we learn to stay in the moment, we can share the moment, but we don't want to sacrifice the moment for the sake of others or the sake of expectations. We want to stay in that moment, which sounds really simple. It really does. It sounds really simple to stay in the moment, but it's deeply uncomfortable for many people to stay in the moment, because the present moment is where our feelings live. The present moment is where our actual feelings and reality lives. The past holds regret and shame. The future holds anxiety and pressure. But the present moment asks us to be honest with where we are right now, with where we are in this moment. And many of us learn very early to monitor how others feel before checking in with ourselves. We become experts in reading rooms, adjusting tone, shrinking or performing, staying agreeable, staying needed. That's how we have been brought up. It's brought up in family systems. It's brought up in school systems. It's brought up in group systems. But living for others, though it can feel noble, becomes constant. It disconnects us from ourselves. When living for others becomes constant, it disconnects us from ourselves. It disconnects us from where we are, what we need, where we're living at in the moment. Psychologist and author Carl Rogers once said, "The curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change." But the key is accepting myself just where I am, where I'm at right now. But that means I need to be in that present moment. You don't become worthy by doing more. You become present by allowing yourself to be where you already are, to be in that moment, to be in this moment, to feel what you feel, to think what you think. Now, that doesn't mean it's always good or great, but you can't move forward until you know where you're at. Getting real with where you're at, that's the G in Grace Life Coaching, is getting real with where you're at. And to get real with where you're at is to be in your moment. You have to be in your moment. You can't get real with where you're at by being in the future or the past. And being present in the moment, which is a really hard thing to do, but it's something really to want to work on in order to be able to move forward. There's a quiet lie that many people carry in this, that if I focus on myself, I'm selfish. I hear that all the time. Well, if I put energy into myself, I'm being selfish. No, you're not. No, you're not. Living for yourself doesn't mean you're ignoring others. Okay. When we put energy into ourselves, it doesn't mean we're ignoring others. It means not abandoning yourself in the process of caring for them. And that's the big hustle. That's the big thing. When you put energy into yourself, when you focus on yourself, you're not being selfish. You're actually allowing yourself not to abandon yourself in the process of caring for others. And what can that look like? Living for yourself can look like making choices that align with your values, listening to your body and emotions, letting go of the need to constantly be validated, and allowing rest without guilt. That's a big thing. We want to think that we don't deserve rest, or we don't deserve to sit back, and we have guilt when we're resting. But that is not the case. Rest is not something that we earn. Rest is something that we need, that's built into hardwired into our being. So when we allow ourselves to rest without guilt, when we listen to our body and our emotions, when we understand our values, and then we make choices that align with them. Is that going to look difficult for some people? Yeah, it will. And some people might say you're being selfish. Well, you're not being selfish. You're just being present with you. And that's the first big step in being able to move forward with where you are. Søren Kierkegaard, the great philosopher, wrote, the most common form of despair is not being who you are. And I see it so often. People are just so dysregulated and hurting because they're not authentic with who they are. They're trying to live into someone else's expectations, or trying to please others or manage others, and in the process sacrificing so much of their core identity to do it. And that is one of the greatest disappointments and one of the greatest struggles that we as humans have, particularly in the digital age. Particularly in the age of, the constant sharing and the social media and the interaction, is that there's so much expectation to share these moments with others that we miss the moment for ourselves, hoping to get the approval of others. When we live only for approval, we slowly disappear. Being present is an act of courage. It means saying my experience matters. And that though it'd be really awesome if you could share this with me, I'm going to experience this right now for myself. And here's the paradox in all this. When we live more fully for ourselves, our relationships actually improve because we feel less exhausted, less resentful, and more honest. And so the relationships that matter, the relationships that are important, they actually improve because we are more authentic with ourselves. We are more honest with ourselves. We are more fully living in ourselves and not trying to live for other people. Because look, so many people tie their worth to things like productivity or progress or achievement or being useful or being needed. They tie their worth to external things, but worth is not something you earn in the future. And that's one of the big things that I want you to hear. Worth is not something you earn in the future. Worth is something you recognize in the present. Worth is not something you earn in the future. You're not going to do these things to be worthy. You're worthy now. You're worthy in this moment, recognizing that your being has worth, that because you exist, you have worth. You are a worthy individual now, just by being. Not because you're being productive, not because someone in the future is going to see that, but because you exist now, you have worth. And that is an incredible thing. That's an incredible thing to grab onto. Once we grab onto that, it really changes our perspective. I don't have to prove myself. I don't have to prove that I need to exist. I don't have to prove that I'm productive. I have worth now in my being. Your worth doesn't increase when your circumstances improve. It doesn't decrease when you rest. It doesn't disappear when you struggle. Presence allows you to feel the truth rather than just intellectually agree with it. And when we're present, we can see our worth. We have worth. We have meaning. We have identity, and we matter now in the present moment. But when we run from that present moment, then we just keep chasing these things that create our worth. Our productivity, our progress, our achievements. I'll be worthy when I have 6 figures. I'll be worthy when I get my degree. I'll be worthy when I have a better job. Well, those are achievements and progress, of course, and they're important, but they're not going to increase your worth. Your worth as a being is because you are a being. Not because of what you produce or what you bring, but but being in the moment is where we learn to realize that. When we put our worth in the future, then we miss the moment. Being present in the moment, experiencing the moment, and living in the moment is a really powerful thing, and it really does help to adjust where we go. So let's talk about making this practical. How do we learn to live in the moment? Again, if you're already living in the moment, if you're skilled in this, then good for you. But if you're not, if you're like, wow, that kind of sounds like me. I kind of feel like I'm always living out for others or doing other things. Let's talk about some things that will help ground you to stay present in the moment. And that's, I use that word grounded. That's part of what it means to be present in the moment, is to be grounded, to be here, to be in this moment, where your feet are, where your body is. And one of the best ways to do that is to name it. I am here right now. I am in this place right now. I know that sounds kind of kitschy or what have you, but I am here right now. I am in this place right now, right in this moment. I'm breathing. I'm sitting in this chair. I'm in this room. I'm in this place right now. This can help to interrupt mental spirals. It can help to interrupt, future thinking or past shame. I'm here right now. Yes, what happened to me was terrible. And I made some bad choices or what have you. But I'm not in those choices now. I'm not in that moment now. I'm in this moment right here, right now. So name where you are. Putting a name to something gives it identity, gives it a capability of ownership. So name where you are. I am right here, right now. Do one thing at a time. We want to tell ourselves that we can multitask. The world has fed us this narrative that we should multitask, that the best people are multitaskers. But the fact is, our brain can't multitask. Our brain can only do one thing at a time. So when we try to multitask, actually what we're doing is we're doing one thing, then another thing, then another thing in succession, but we're not doing them very well. So multitasking keeps us anxious, it keeps us dysregulated, it keeps us unfocused. Singular tasking brings you home to yourself. So one thing at a time. I have to fold the laundry. I'm going to fold the laundry. I'm going to be here and fold the laundry. I have to whatever. One thing at a time. When we try to multitask, it just creates us to be in dysregulation and anxiety. We can't multitask. We're not capable of doing it, even though the world tells us that we're supposed to. And you might be pushing back at me and saying, well, I can multitask. Well, you can do multiple things, but you're not doing multiple things at the same time. You're doing one thing, then the next, then the next, then the next. Multitasking is it's a fallacy given to us by people who want us to produce more than we can produce. Multitasking keeps us anxious. If we want to stay present and grounded in the moment, then we want to not multitask, but do one thing at a time, do it well, do it to completion, and move on to the next thing. Another thing we can do is check our motivations. What's motivating you? Before you say yes, before you engage in something, ask yourself, am I doing this out of alignment or obligation? Again, remember when I talked earlier about being aligned with our values? That's one of the things, right? Making choices that align with your values. So when you're making a choice, ask that question. Is this choice coming out of alignment or obligation? Am I doing this because it aligns with my values or I feel obligated to others? Now, look, sometimes we do things out of obligation, of course, but when we can own that, when we can name it, when we can identify it and say, look, I'm doing this out of obligation, not out of alignment. I really don't believe in it, but I love the person that I'm working with, so I'm going to do it. That doesn't mean you don't do it. It just means you really want to understand why you're doing what you're doing. Am I doing it out of alignment or obligation? And another thing that can be really helpful is creating small daily anchors, things that bring us back to the moment. Because we do spiral, we do spin, we do dysregulate. There's so many things going on in the world, so many tasks that we have to do. Having some small daily anchors that allow us to come back. Maybe it is, a daily cup of coffee. This is my time right now where I'm going to have my coffee, or a walk. This is my time, or a stretch, a moment of stillness. We can do that in the day. It doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to be big, but this is my time to bring back to me. Maybe it's listening to a song that really means something to us, and just taking those little daily anchors to bring us into the moment. Because if we don't do that, what can happen is, our feet hit the floor in the morning, and by the time we go to bed at night, it's like, oh my goodness, what happened to the day? What are the things that I did? What are the things that I aligned myself with? What are the things that really made this day meaningful? It just felt like rush, 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 run, run, run. So having daily anchors can really help us. The philosopher Eckhart Tolle reminds us that realize deeply that the present moment is all we ever have. And it's so true. It's all we ever have. The future will be the present when it comes into the present. We don't live in the future. We don't live in the past. That's one of the reasons why I'm so invested in breath work, is that our breath, when we want to come into our present moment, we focus on our breath. Our breath is never in the past. It's never in the future. Now, will our breaths be in the future? Yeah, when we get to that. But then when the breath is in the future, that will be the present. And was our breath in the past? Yeah, but it was in the present when it was in the past. You see, our breath is always in the moment, always in the now. And when we realize that the now is all that we ever have, we can plan for the future. And I'm a big planner. I think planning is important. But those plans can go out the window in a heartbeat. I could get up from my desk and I could be like, I've got this full day ahead of me. I could get up from my desk and I could twist my ankle and my day is shot. My day is going in a different direction because the future is not set for us. The only thing that is set for us is this present moment, this right here, right now. That's why it's so important to be present in the now. Okay. That's why it's so present to be important. It's to be present in this very moment. Now, again, big planner. I'm all about planning and looking out and setting things in motion. Very important. And I'm also all about, kind of looking into the past and healing and growing out of it. But it doesn't mean we need to go back there. It doesn't mean that we're going back to live in that past. We're remembering, we're experiencing, we're healing, but we're not going back into that moment. We are always in this moment right now. All right. And we're not in the future. Tomorrow will be tomorrow. We can plan for tomorrow, but we're not going to live tomorrow until tomorrow. So when we stay present, we are able to fully live in this moment. We don't have to rush our healing or rush our growth. We don't have to measure our life against someone else's timeline. We can begin to trust ourselves in living in this moment. It's not about ignoring the future. It's not about ignoring the past, but it's about not sacrificing today for tomorrow that hasn't arrived yet, or sacrificing today for yesterday. You're allowed to be here, my friends. You're allowed to matter now. You're allowed to live for yourself without apology now. You're allowed to be present now. As a matter of fact, this is only where you're going to be. This is the only place you're going to be. Your future will be your future, but when you get there, it'll be your present. Your past was your past, but when you were there, it was your present. All right? So this is the only place that you're going to be ever, is in this present moment. And so we want to be able to live in our present moment and be comfortable in our present moment and see the value of our present moment, even if it looks like things will be difficult in the future. We plan for it, we prepare for it, but this is the present moment that we're in. So, I again, thinking of those phones that are up in the air, watching the fireworks and the countdown, I didn't see people living in that moment. I saw people trying to live for others. I saw people trying to be away from that moment. It really was an incredible moment. And I'm really happy because there was even a part of me that's like, wow, I should get my phone out and I could live stream this and people in Ohio and Iowa and all these places could experience it with me. But then I thought, but if I do that, then I'm going to miss it. Then I'm going to be so focused on my phone that I'm going to miss this present moment. And I don't want to miss this present moment. I don't want to miss what's going on right now. I hope that's helpful. That's what I have for you for today. So I hope it's helpful. I hope that it resonates somewhere with you. If it does, again, please share it out there. Put it out there on your social media feeds. Put it out there on your Instagram, X, LinkedIn, Facebook. If you're following on one of the listening platforms, then give us a rating and review and watch for new episodes that'll come out. A lot of good content coming out here in 2026. And if you want to reach out to me, gracelifecoaching.com is the website. As always, at Grace Life Coaching, we want you to be the best you.